We're gonna do one more video. We're gonna do one more video on Jewry, on Jews, on Juden, America. We're gonna do one more video today. It's gonna be another one we're gonna release. We have this White House American, Jew-American President Donald Trump Kushner, and well, that's what we're gonna talk about a little bit more. The man had a lot of problems with me. And guess what? I am not obligated in keeping it back in absolutely any way. So if it takes to take United States of America down into the mud and beat the fuck out of one, be so. You ask for it, I will deliver to you. It's like this. It's like this. This picture here, I am not going to give you a clue. I will demand from FBI to, based on my claim I'm going to make right now, to get Ivanka Trump and her father Donald Trump through the what is known as a lie detector. This is the first picture. I recall this picture very well. It was a picture for which it was acknowledged Donald Trump pedophile, pimped his own daughter. Donald Trump became upset. He denied all claims he would have anything to do with it, but I think it did happen so. I remember that picture. In fact, I remember Ivanka Trump, whom Donald Trump brought like this, provocatively dressed. She was absolutely of none of my interest. I did not find her interesting. I did not find her appealing in absolutely any way. This really was a child. She was scared like a shit. For the reason, why were you, Ivanka Trump, scared like a shit? You see? That is a trouble, isn't it? Because you had me there. You had me everywhere. Now, Donald Trump did post also with Ivanka Trump. And that's what he claimed, with a hope that this will become my bride, etc., etc. It was so many like Donald Trump. And it had so little to do with realistic that I would not go for absolutely any of that stuff. Donald Trump also posted on the bed. I did not find that picture, at least I did not find that picture yet, to remind me of his visits to our house in Novo Mesto City. That's an old house from Novo Mesto City, for which one claimed that had pictures. He took who knows how many photos of our old house when he was young in the city of the Novo Mesto, and insisted that if I would marry Ivanka, that would be then marriage made from heaven, made in heaven, with him having absolutely proofs about what appeared was even his stay in our house, in this portion of the house here. This was for the special guests. Donald Trump was so fucking crazy about taking photos of himself at our house, simply because Donald Trump was stupid like a fuck back in the day. This guy was dumb. I mean, his father was older, wiser man. But when it comes to Donald Trump was such a foolish personality when he was young. I think he couldn't spend 30 minutes without watching himself in the mirror. Literally, this was like a foolish guy. Extremely insensitive, foolish. He was just flirtatious person. Something like you see right now his son Barron Baron looks like a Baron looks like right now, but foolish. Not like Baron personality-wise, not at all. He was foolish. He was show-off, foolish guy. And he didn't care about this shit. But once he learned about that those that who stayed inside of our house and other young diplomats posing with the photos, taking photos of the house, posing inside, this is all changed into the offices right now, right? But this used to be a main bedroom right here. That taking those photos was equivalent to the lifetime, any kind of career you wanted, political, Hollywood, whatever career out there. And so once he learned about that, Donald Trump became immediately wiser. And interesting about Donald Trump, he wanted everybody off the picture and himself on the picture only. So yes, there were also stuff like this Donald Trump presented as a possibility. But the main thing about Donald Trump is this picture here. This is where it all started, and it's what I was taught. Donald Trump literally advertised, pimped his own daughter in a higher circle. Ivanka Trump was a victim of the pedophilia. And so this is the man whom you have in the White House as a U.S. president. Eh? That kind of a sucks, man. That stinks, actually. I'm actually really... it's like God works in a really mysterious ways. And it just happened so that we have this happening for some reason, somehow. We get stuff like this, really ugly stuff like this on the picture that somehow goes along. And the further it goes, the shittier it looks. It looks shittier in a moment when it should actually look really bright, shining, interesting, wow. And now the stuff like this. Ivanka Trump was scared like a shit. This right here, this photo, I don't know what her age is. What? 18? No, this was a child. But this is how she lost her virginity. She lost, I think that this here might be her age, like 8. And I would really like to get Ivanka Trump on a lie detector test, because one thing is definitely certain. She lost her virginity when she was 10 years of age. And I do like to hear from Ivanka Trump whom exactly, that I know for sure, whom exactly did Ivanka Trump lost her virginity to? Ladies and gentlemen, that would be truly, truly eye-opener. If, in case it was not right here in this party where Donald Trump delivered, I remember the party, he delivered a daughter over there, and at this party right here, he stayed with the kids, with his Ivanka and so on. He stayed here for about maybe, I don't know. I remember all Donald Trump's party, including this one here. I could actually give you the estimation of the time. Yeah, Ivanka Trump was raped. Ivanka Trump was raped, whatever the age was, and I think this is age 8. 7, 8, that this is her age right there. She was raped, I know so, because it started with Donald Trump bringing Ivanka for about maybe, from the beginning it was all about, this is all Epstein business. Epstein, Herr Epstein, Epstein business. First time, Ivanka, listen, I was there, baby. I can feel you. I can feel your heartbeat. First time when Donald Trump presented Ivanka Trump, He had her maybe for about maybe like a half an hour. Then Donald Trump, it was like he left, and I don't know what happened. He came back or whatever the case was. But what's interesting is the rape took place, I bet she was 8 years of age. As old as she was on this picture. Maybe she's 7, I don't know. But I think she's 8. And then what happened is he stayed longer and longer and longer. And I think that's when Ivanka Trump lost the track of time with the older man in some bedrooms upstairs. You know, this is how they were taking care of the kids. They brought their own kids. They exchanged it. I don't think they, who the hell knows, maybe they even exchanged their wives, but they definitely exchanged their kids. So, a family man, Donald Trump, owes some explanation in respect to Ivanka and Ivanka Trump too, in respect to age 8, beginning the age 8. I feel it was 8. I was told, no, it was 10, 11. Maybe. But 10, 11 is still greatly underage. And the age 8, based on my memories, is what it was. Donald Trump appeared to me was also caught. Where exactly this took place with Ivanka Trump, I do not know. At one time, it was Americans, it was, I don't know, American state prosecutor or wherever it was, who also was coming here to Slovenia. I don't know where exactly that stuff Donald Trump in Slovenia was having his orgies with his Epsteiners. But I suspect he might have been as well here at this place here, and I don't know. I do not know, but I know that it was FBI people that started to investigate Donald Trump in respect to his daughter. I remember that was some state prosecutor, somebody who was extremely concerned about him. I remember people. This is the Windischer building, this building here. This is a hotel with American FBI and the state prosecutors that ransacked this Windischer and this area. They started to come here, and they were asking about Donald Trump and so on, who was engaging in a pedophilia, and they suspect him. They said that they already got him in United States of America. They caught him because they said, no, Donald is not doing that stuff. Yeah, as a kid I was bad too. I didn't know any better. It's simple as this. And Donald Trump personally was begging me to not tell anything, together with the Prince Charles and the Epsteiner and all these people. These people are all pedos. That was all pedo ring. That was one big fucking pedo ring, if you want to know about the Epstein. Okay? So, I don't know, man. The stuff I'm talking about the FBI, top state prosecutors, took place just before we left this house here, this old house, and this was a long time ago. I'm talking about long time ago. However, in my terms, that feels like I was already an old man. You know, I was growing up so quickly, and during MK Ultra, the stuff that I have seen, met, witnessed to, it was something completely different. Donald Trump brought this, not that he brought, they came also here to see. I think the state prosecutor, I think that might have been a person that he himself brought in, even that I was told by the FBI. Who the hell knows who that guy was? I have to see the FBI people from way back in time. We're talking about 2nd grade and 3rd grade of the grammar school, right? We're talking about here classic, maybe 1980, you know. Closing, basically, just prior to our departure from here to a new house at Kirka village, at Kirka Street now, is where this FBI people claimed, they started like he was a guy that, for whom they claimed that he is FBI, that he is investigating. In fact, he was not even hiding these things from me. And soon the state prosecutor also joined and stuff like this. When you have people like this and they suggest you they are investigating somebody, they do this kind of stuff simply because they work for that person. Those are not even the people to trust. Those are not even the people to go by. Those are just the people to keep silent about if in their presence, if such people are in their presence, they are doing this shit to get information out of you and eventually even destroy you. Probably if I said, yeah, he is a pedophile and so on, that's what he does, I probably would have been destroyed. You see, but I got smarter, I got better ways than that, and I was just simply silent. I said, I don't know anything about Trump. I was a bad boy like this. And so, Trump already was caught by FBI, apparently, in the USA. And based on what I have seen, Trump was a very, very bad apple. He did solve Ivanka, and I did explain exactly how they were doing the stuff. I think some of the stuff was eventually done in this hotel here. It used to be known as a hotel from Windishar. It would be really interesting for me to go inside a little bit and see everything inside on how it is. But Novo Mesto City was a pedophilic city. This was a city of the pedophilia. And it would be great to know from your American president about these issues and from his daughter, Ivanka Kushner Trump. Yes? Kushner, right? The Kushner Trump. It would be great to know about issues that concern world, not only United States of America. If American Jewry loves to keep it to yourself, that's one thing, but you crossed the borders, you went to another country and you did the stuff like this, and therefore I think it's the right from entire world to know more details about your JEWMERICAN president, right? Jew is how you demanded for me to see you as, and make no mistake, I will. I will bury you. I will fuck you up for the way you want it, the way you wanted to get it done. We're gonna get it done. Make no mistake, I ain't no fucking intimidated by the jury, by your anti-Semitic laws, by your shit, by your lies, by your garbage. We're gonna get it done. Just the way you like it. You like it that way? You want it this way? You will get it. I will deliver to you. This here is the main thing for me when it comes to Donald Trump. This picture, I think, who the fuck knows? Maybe she was 6 years old. I don't know. But I know that every time she stayed longer and longer and longer. And she would go upstairs. Maybe to play with the bears. Prince Andrew collected bears. The beautiful little bears. That kind of stuff. That's the stuff I want to know. Donald Trump, pedo, there is absolutely no doubt about it. What Ivanka Trump could tell us about her youth, that is basically if she wanted to. Maybe she could teach us about the drugs that can be sipped inside of the Jews. Father Donnie would take her out for lunch and then he would return back to the parties. That's the way it was. And then here and there, Ivanka would disappear a little bit upstairs and that kind of stuff. I witnessed it. I was a little hooker myself, to be completely honest. I saw all this shit, I was in the middle of it. I saw all this stuff that went on. I'm not ashamed to tell you the way it was, the stuff that was. My father was extorted by the Serbs right outside, right here. Look, you see this here? This is a bank. This is an LB. This is a Nova, tako imenovana Nova Ljubljanska banka, previously known as Ljubljanska banka, a Bank of Ljubljana. This is a Milan Kučan private bank. Josip Broz Tito Yugoslavia Bank is still here, and what they would do is they have video recorders like this, you know, and they compelled my father to come here outside. Yes, that's how they got my father into home for elderly people, and they demanded from my father to collect the money from the Serbian, whether he liked it or not, as a form of payment for the child prostitution. Now, father didn't want to have anything to do with it, but he didn't have absolutely any choice other than to step in front of the Serbian, who was video recorded from the window from the bank, taking the money from the Serbian. They had all kinds of people come here, spend time with me inside of this house, which did not even belong to my parents. This was the house. This house was like this, that I would wake up in this house next to Josip Broz Tito and Jovanka. This was the main bedroom here. I would be sleeping next to them, and the rest you can leave it up to imagination. When it comes to Josip Broz Tito, my parents, however, they would have to spend here on this side of the house here. This is the house. Later, Josip Broz Tito changed his mind, and here is settled. Here is settled in these apartments here across the street, behind, because this house became like a big brother house. This was where Illuminatis would come from all over the world. It was with all kinds of people. And whenever during MK Ultra there would be people like this, they would just, my father, mom, we would have to go here. They also had a room here. British Royals, Andrew Charles, they know this very good, this room. And apartments were available. There was a hotel, Windischer Hotel. And this is our life. This is the way it was. With what I stated to you right there about my father, they intimidated my father to the degree that he agreed to absolutely all the fucking torture in respect to the stroke issues. This is exactly how they got my father into the home for elderly people. This is how they did. Serbs did like this, systematically like this. My father was running from reality. Much of his life he ran from the demons, from the fears, which only he saw it through reminders that would appear in his life. Scum, a Serbian scum, Slovenian scum, people like Tanya Fajon was very concerned about the children pedophilia, even that she engaged in it. She herself was a professional child prostitute. Gregor Golobic, Robert Golob knew all about the child pedophilia with Borut Pahor, Milan Kučan. Those are the people who did the stuff like this. Even the parents, if had nothing to do with it, they make parents take the bribe directly on the camera, and then what they would do is they would condition them the sanity. This is about Jugoslavia, počitnice v Črni Gori s Miloševićem, Slobodanom Miloševićem, Slovenia! I like to get the answer from FBI about the stuff that I stated, what I described, pedophilia of Donald Trump here in the city of, oh, Donald Trump was involved in pedophilia in Novo Mesto way before 1980. Way before 1980, Donald Trump did some pedophilia in the city of Novo Mesto. This was a really interesting guy, but he also was very smart. He smelled that something smelled bad. And with the Prince Andrew, Charles and others was extremely cautious about it. And so the pedophilia issues in Novo Mesto sort of ended preemptively. He was extremely suspicious about it. He was more trusted back in the United States of America. Yeah, I sensed him that after a while Donald Trump became completely paranoid, very suspicious, together with Prince Andrew, and they took it back to the United States of America. But the Donald Trump presence in Novo Mesto City, yes. Donald Trump definitely owes some answers in respect to his you can see him posing here with Ivanka much more relaxed, right? You can see him in a completely different settings. You can see that. You have these photos of pedo Donald Trump more. So I like to learn a little bit more about the Kushners and Trumps in respect to pedophilia. You know, we can do it this way. We can do it this way. You came here. You were all invited. You are all welcome here. I will never forget Jews, such as, I think it's, what is it, Sam Altman, Jew? This boy here? Sam Altman. This one here. 48 years of age. Same like Zuckerberg, you know. They would get these young boys here in our house, and they would start to tell them that I am anti-Semite, that I don't like Jews, that I don't like, I don't know what the fuck I don't like. And already when I listen this shit, when you drugged up and you listen, that you don't like this, and you don't like that, and you don't like this, you're already like this, you don't want to see people. But I remember clearly when it was times when these boys would come, and they would start telling them before they would even meet me that I don't like them and so on, without actually even giving me the opportunity to welcome them. Because I didn't like this idea about telling them that they're not welcome and stuff. I really didn't like that stuff. This I didn't like, and I also didn't allow this in my house, in this house where I'm at here in the Novo Mesto right now, in this new house at Krka. I don't like Americans telling anybody, whoever came from the USA, that they are not welcome here. I don't like that kind of stuff. I wanted to judge people by myself. I wanted to welcome people by myself, but they pushed down the throat their facial, racial, and all kinds of issues that oftentimes would really resulted in my rejecting people that would come for a. They refer to this as a visit. These were no fucking visits. This is an organized criminal network of Illuminatis. It's the news that you read. The news I refuse to comment, but it's the news, almost entire news that you read on the Yahoo, that you read at MSN, that you read on America Online, etc., etc. Much of it, all kinds of scams they implicated in these issues. Not only scams, but certain scientific discoveries, research, all kinds of researches, including animal extinction and so on, all kinds of issues that they would just simply not release. They would just release them at one point in time. This is all socially engineered. A little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then make their goulash. And this is what you folks get to read in the mainstream media. It's interesting, I do too. But I was brainwashed with it during MK Ultra, as far as 10, 15 years ahead of the release of such news. So, That would be really interesting. I don't give a three fuck about your impeachment. I don't give a three fuck about your Epstein files. I don't give a three fuck about what you flash with this and that, and you will and you shall will. I'm gonna get it done. Don't worry about it. With or without you, this is another video used to be used as a proof of Donald Trump's presence also in the Novo Mesto. Not only his, talk about the pedophilia here, not only his presence in United States of America. Prince Andrew was caught in this hotel here. They did caught people inside of this hotel. This was a frequent pedophilia hotel. This hotel here, this place here, this old hotel here was used for the much of the stuff. Okay, Prince Andrew was just advised to look elsewhere, to stay away from it, and you know, that's our house right there. So you can imagine about what the fuck went on here. This was a hooker city, not USA, but in Slovenia. USA in Slovenia, yeah, much of it. And British and all kinds of whatever traveled through here. Open like no other city in Eastern Europe, this place here. That's the way it was. She was a little bit unjust. It was not exactly the truth. It was this lady, Bosnian lady. She was a prostitute. She was a prostitute, and she lived in. Let me see. I would have to go there and see a little bit these buildings to recall exactly where she lived at. Okay, but based on my memory, the lady lived somewhere a little bit more in the background over there. She had an apartment, and she was doing a prostitution. There was a lot of prostitution, and it just happened so that let's see this here a little bit here. Oh, I don't care about these issues. I don't give a shit about this stuff. I don't care. I really don't care. It's you who care way more than I do. I don't care. She had an apartment. She had her apartment. I maybe in this building here. I have no idea. I know it was like in the back. So she was either here or here. This was her apartment, something like that. Yeah, she would take. When she was younger, she had a better customers, and then what happened was the customers were becoming a little bit more sad, like local junks and so on. You know, Prince Andrew used to know her when she was younger. It was such an attractive lady, and this is the way it is. You know, unfortunately, when they're young ladies, you know, they roll them over, you know, they look good, they, you know, self-sufficient, you know, reliant, independent, and so on, you know, then they demonstrate them a different side of life, you know. I think maybe he did her once or twice, something like that, you know. Prince Andrew had a habit to spin lady maybe once, maybe twice, and then disappear in the picture. Because it would be all kinds of other men that would invade, and you know, it was just he was used basically like to put her down, and then the next time it would be already others that would take from there. Because it's all about the habits that human develops, and you know, ladies saw themselves in a princess and that kind of stuff, and then they basically ended up in a cahoots with the local drunks, and all kinds of stuff like this went on. This was a hell of a place when I was young. In a way, I'm actually even proud of it when I recall all this stuff. She told me that I'm her competition, and it was not exactly the truth. Maybe she was a Serbian, or she was a Bosnian Serb, I don't know, or Bosnian wherever it was. In a way, this was a funny place. And then I already told you about all these apartment buildings, about this hookery over here, pedo stuff that went on. Yo, this was a wild place, man. Slovenia! Slovenia! Should I play you Slovenian anthem? It's so beautiful. Žive naj vsi narodi, ki hrepe ne dočaka dan. Maybe I sing you a song, eh? Zdravljica. It's time to get real, motherfuckers. It's time to wake up. Wakey, wakey. Because it's not gonna get any easier on you. There is so much of the stuff like this we need to talk about. And look, you got my father at Home for Elderly People, who is a crucial witness to all this shit, to all this Serbian organized Ljubljana, Belgrade, Moscow crime. And then it comes Washington, D.C., Londonia, London. I like to get some answers beginning this stuff here. Might have been that she was actually even 6 years of age. Who the fuck knows? But what a man, this guy here. Donald Trump. What a man! No. This was already younger, much younger. Donald Trump was so careful with Ivanka. Donald Trump became so careful with Ivanka that I think that he actually had to witness this stuff. You know, he became so attached, so sensitive to his daughter, but it did start it. It was, and I just gave you the picture, this one here, that I would like to get answers on. The picture closed. Fuck it. You know the picture that I demonstrated. That's the picture I want the answer on. That picture. That's the stuff I want the answers on. This one here. This one here, Ivanka. This kind of stuff. This is what I want. You know what, Ivanka? You were 6 years old when you started to dress yourself like this. 6 years old. You started extremely early. Extremely early. I think your daddy had to pay his debts. I think he was in a lot of banking issues. And it would be fun to know what year was when you were 6 years of age, with basically what would be 35 years from today, back in time. $1990. It would be nice to know what went on with Donald Trump financially in 1990. But Donald Trump was paying off loans in 1990. In 1990, just as I have described on my blog, it was time when supposedly it was even decided about destiny of Donald Trump. All through the time when Donald Trump was in cahoots was much earlier. They extended, talking about the Charles Windsor, extended that time all the way to 1989, 1990. I did wrote you that on the blog. Donald Trump was in a cahoots financial fuck up way earlier, but it would be interesting to see. He mentions here, what is this year? 1971. Get out of my face. Ivanka Trump did her business. You can trust on that. But only with the special people. It's interesting because they don't tell anything about his early life. They don't explain anything about what he was doing. 1985, 1990 and stuff like this. They talk about something. What is this here? Okay. For his 6 business bankruptcies, look at that, between 1990 and 2000, it says here. Okay? So, we'll have to get the answers on this stuff here. That kind of issue. No, this was wild. This was totally wild. This was really wild. Okay? This is the stuff I like to get the answers. This one here. And it did start even earlier. With Ivanka Trump, it started at age 6. I don't know anything about Ivanka, how much Ivanka would know when she was 6 years old. What they would do is, these girls, these children, they would just make their brain disappear, basically. And they would not even know where the fuck they are. Till you wake up in some fucking room, you don't even wake up there. You don't wake up there, they take you home. A long party, and you wake up in your bed, and the next day it's time to go to the school. That kind of stuff, Donnie. You be good boy, and you explain a little bit about this stuff here. This is the picture that I like very much, this one here. Very nice picture. You be good boy, and you explain us a little bit about this stuff here. This here. This kind of stuff. Teach you, motherfucker, what it means to enter my house and play a Jew in my face in somebody else's house, to fuck with the human dignity, with the human decency, with welcome of the person. I welcomed you all, and you went on to do something else. I'll teach you something about this shit. I'll teach you something about your Jewish money. You're gonna get your Jewish money. With the Sam Altman was actually like this, that the first time he saw me, I understand that he cried. It was, I don't know how old this was. This was maybe 8 years old or something like this. And basically seeing these kids, for me, maybe sounds crazy, but I'm not 12 years older than Sam Altman. I'm 12 years older in terms of years, you understand? But in terms of experience, dealing with the physical violence intercontinentally, including and especially in Israel, including and especially throughout the Russia, throughout the Eastern Europe. This is, we brought you a new, child that's going to work with you and this and that, right? So they already presented me this Zuckerberg team of kids, that these kids were evil like a motherfucker. These kids were selected based on ability to torture, willingness, ability to torture, pure evil, to become a future Illuminati kids. But this was not the case with the Sam Altman. With the Sam Altman was very different. Sam Altman came, maybe like even the last one on the picture, was one of the last kids who came on the picture. And I figured out what this, I was already almost 20 years of age, 19 years old, 20 years old. For me, that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna groom kids whom I have seen me and torture when I was a child, when I was his age and less, grown-ups who look just like him. You can't judge a person like this. It's not about a lot of people like this, but there never was any people like myself. And when I consider this stuff during MK Ultra, that I'm going to be some kind of a godfather or, yeah, some kind of a godfather or, I don't know how you would say it, mentor to kids who's alike people, DNA alike people, facial characteristic wise. Parents pledged to torture, to mistreatment, which some Altman is parents did not. This was a very exclusive case. That's fucking crazy. That's out of fucking question. And so this is MK Ultra. This is not done in real time. This is under influence not only of drugs, but also of trauma, torture. I told you about the sleep deprivation, cardiovascular burnout, trauma, torture procedures. And you're not yourself, not even if you will be drugged up and, you know, what the fuck is this to drug somebody up and say, cuckoo, can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you follow this? Can you, by the way, can we go for a walk? Can you put the tennis shoes on by yourself? Any monkey can do that during MK Ultra. It's about other things. It's about being given an opportunity to even speak, the right to express yourself, which was totally denied to me, unless it was incitement in a hatred, unless it was for those toxic MK Ultra procedure that you would come out and say stupid shit that had nothing to do with you. Maybe I did spend a moment or two with some good-looking girl. The girls were basically the reason why I tolerate, and that's what they use the girls for. But, you know, the lies they give you, these girls, are pretty good. But other than that, MK Ultra, this is a totally different world. And the personality of the person is placed behind drugs. That's basically your subconscious. And then it gets even worse. Then is another status that is easily reached and why MK Ultra is used. That's called a madness. So here are drugs, and then it's another world they create through the torture, through the trauma. A total madness, basically, a state of mind where you do not practically discern if you are positioned properly in a setup. The difference between 8-year-old child and 30 or 40-year-old child, man. Do you understand me what the fuck I'm saying? That's what I refer to as a madness, because you don't have a capacity, any kind of capacity to it could have a gang that would be dressed up in a particular way that would engage in a physical violence against you, and in the next moment they would be walking you through the street and you would have a child dressed up shitty in front of you. And it could, I'm not saying that this is the way it was. It could absorb your mind to the degree that you would pursue him as a threat, as an adult, because you don't have any kind of control. Your perception is you're completely deprived of everything, of all sensory issues. As that child could be located right across the street and you would have a psychiatrist cop saying, hey, do you see it? Laughing, you see? Yeah, and you ask him, and what? You don't see? He will say, you don't see? Next moment, it's like you switch the channel. Like this, and you have a child in front of you talking shit in your face, asking you if you recognize him and so on, and that threatening you and stuff like this. This is what MKR, this is the way it goes. So this isn't about being only drugged up. This is about the state of mind they place you in before they subject you to the certain individual. This is about the individual having his own perception It's about individual being forced into the certain perception to maybe even make impression on a person that comes to, a visit or whatever. These people that were coming here are up to no fucking good. They were out there to boost their careers, their money. This here is what they were coming from, and it's what they were coming for, basically. Now, I thought that this would just need to give you a little bit of impression about this stuff, about how it is. The real schizophrenics and MK Ultra are people who come in a normal state of mind and are completely aware that person in front of them is drugged up, and take shit they came for, they take it back home to America or wherever the fuck they came from, or wherever they would deliver me, and it's because they wanted to participate in crime. It will become part of them something that is totally unrealistic. This is a bit difficult to explain to the child, if you understand me, what the fuck I'm saying. And so yes, it lists certain psychological consequences to the children whose parents subject them to this type of procedures without actually having the ability to understand what it means drugged up. Which brings me to the next question, and it's probably that all these children, at one point of time, they all are probably subject to the similar type of response, torture procedures, because that's all you do. You respond, you respond. You do not correspond, you do not communicate in any way. I told you it's extremely restricted, limited, that kind of stuff. I don't remember Sam Altman. Sam Altman was, maybe it was the most peaceful. It's just that it's so much expected of people to bend down in front of jury, in front of the Jews, automatically. You know? So much, their ability to scapegoat people, and never nothing is depicted about what exactly do they do. They're always depicted like victims and so on, even that they own entire global mainstream media network, organized crime through American state, basically. It's all copy-paste shit. They have their own journalists and they do so much stuff. And it's about degree of crime they committed against me. How much they profited through the slavery, through the less than child, through the baby slavery, child slavery, espionage-wise, talking about the Israel, war-wise, financially wise, through a Russian Iron Curtain that collapsed, through all kinds of transactions they were involved in. And, you're still seen like nobody, like a shit, basically. Like somebody who does not exist. Somebody that is, I was presented this time and again, the issues that I talk about. Jews would come here to make war with me, implicating children from the area and watching this madness, craziness, physical violence, and so on, hijacking me to Israel as an adult because they were eager, they were obsessed with the idea to continue their Holocaust business. I'm not saying the so-called Holocaust, because Holocaust did took place. I'm saying they turned this shit into the business. And I'm saying when it comes to the World War II, these people were not the one who liberated their prisoners from Auschwitz or Dachau and other locations. I don't know what right do these people actually have to do stuff like this to the people. In my case, both sides of the family were involved in resistance against neo-Nazi Germany and fascist Italy. I don't understand what kind of right the fuck do you have to privatize and Holocaust and the World War II issues and use those issues to incarcerate, to intimidate, to murder people whom you actually subject to the torture so that you can have your business going. You know? Yeah, poor me and this and that and so on. It's about a lot of issues. It's very, very personal. It's derision for human dignity, for human life, value of the human life that I experience with Jews. Not only as a child, not only as a baby, but not only as a teenager, as I would be ongoingly subjected to hijacking to Israel, but as an adult man, where they would terrorize me on the streets of Tel Aviv, Israel, death threatened me and so on, gangs, is Jewry gangs, they had all kinds of issues, the lies, the world of lies, the way they wanted to present me as, like they were doing something good for the world. Insisted on my being mentally ill and so on. That's what the fuck this shit is about. It's about a pure evil. That's what this shit is about. It's about forcing a Jew past the so-called anti-Semitic laws against the wall till he speaks the truth about who and what he is. That's what this shit is about. Confess about who and what the fuck you did in my case. Because in my case, in this place, now, nobody managed to get through here. Nobody ever won this place. Nobody ever won the war against me. And it's also the war that you lost, miserably lost. Jewry. You don't fucking get here. Here is the place when you got everything, absolutely everything wrong. I told you about those figurines that happy merchant shit that British Royal started to demonstrate me when I was child, just few years old age, with nose and stuff like this, with Prince Charles posing in front of me with his nose, with Prince William posing in front of me with his nose, and all kinds of stupidity, all kinds of shit like this. They incited the end to get their FBI Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, what became ADL, Jewish Defense League, etc., going. You're always getting some kind of people that they would lay down in front of them and so on. Yeah, whatever. Good if you did the shit that you're not supposed to. The thing is, however, who the fuck cares about what Jews do? Who cares? Who gives a fuck about Jews? When I came to the United States of America in 95, you think that I give a fuck about Jews? I almost fucked one girl, Jewish girl, on Miami Beach, who, however, she was 14 years old. And that was actually put me in a jail. It could put me in a fucking jail. I realized sometime that she was just 14 years of age. She was willing to do this shit, but it could fuck me up badly. And I would return back to the Europe as, you know, as a registered as a rapist or some shit. That would be really a business. Well developed completely, but, you know, once I learned about that stuff, you know, when I came to Miami, I didn't give a three fuck about the dudes that look like a ZZ Pop, you know, those guys in those coats with those beards on Miami Beach that walk down and back and forth. I looked at that stuff. I felt like I came to another world, but the truth is I didn't give a fuck about. In a real Jewish world, about Jew itself, I know nothing about. And I had nothing to fear, because you go there and you live with them and they get to know you. They just didn't have interest in getting to know me past, you know, demands for me to convert myself into the Judaism, open demands, demanding, getting in my face and demand that stuff, hello, hi, how are you? Hey, hello, hi, good day, hi, goodbye, hi, goodbye. This was it. They really totally relied on MK Ultra. Now, during MK Ultra, that was a totally different story. I got to meet Benjamin Netanyahu in our building in in Miami Beach. All kinds of stuff was happening, and I got to meet his daughters and his family and all kinds of stuff, and all the same shit was with all other Israeli presidents and so on. It's just that I don't understand. I don't fucking get it. In real time, not. That's interesting. In real time, when I wanted to marry a Jewish girl that was from Chicago, that one was not underage. She was woman. Before you know, it was some Jew that fuck her, make her, I don't know how many kids, so that she wouldn't even think about me ever again. And that was it. This is the way it went. One thing was MK Ultra, where everything was possible, and in real time where there was nothing possible. This is just the way it is. So I don't actually owe you this kind of explanation, but I'm just giving you a little bit in and out. You're not playing here with some hateful guy that I don't know, has some kind of mental issue and stuff like this. It's much worse for you. This is the war you lost. This is the war that you cannot utter but get beaten up more and more. And that's exactly what's happened. That's exactly what will continue to happen. Donald Trump personally admitted issues of pedophilia involvement when it comes to Ivanka Trump. However, he pointed at age between 6 and 10, with what he afterwards insisted he no longer wanted to push her into the stuff. Between 6 and between age of 11, maybe something like this, I would wake up in the same house with Donald Trump and his children. Donald Trump would take Ivanka Trump home, sleeping, put her in the bed, and was proud about how the next day she would just go about her business without knowing shit. This is the way it was. Prince Andrew was extremely selective. He claimed personally to me he only smashed maybe 2 ladies from the city of the Novo Mesto. That's what he stated. What the reality was, I do not know. I know there were ladies that got his attention. He did let himself loose here and there, but not too much, because he was afraid of Prince Charles. Prince Charles would come to Novo Mesto occasionally, and this is the guy whom I feared myself whenever he would pop up in the Novo Mesto. Whenever he came to Novo Mesto, he acted like extremely strict. He was nowhere near as laid back, lax like Prince Andrew, who later, as I was growing up, was becoming also more and more tense. This is confirmed. This is the stuff that I know, that I get them on a lie detector with these issues, that they can do nothing about it. Prince Andrew did have a sexual experience in the Novo Mesto city. He's not innocent to it. He's not immune to it. And the stuff about the pedophilia, they all post like some kind of FBI informants, FBI, CIA. That's what they claimed me when I was a child. FBI, CIA agents investigating the crime. This is the title that Prince Andrew would get to his selected criminals. That's how they protected themselves with. They were seen as investigators, as police officers from abroad. This shit is all confirmed kill. There is no way you can pass this shit on a lie detector. I get you on a lie detector, you got no fucking way to escape. I know something about MK Ultra, I can do shit on you too. I can get you, confess you, reveal you, video record myself doing this shit so that somebody would not say that I did something through the violence or whatever. Make you confess about the stuff you were involved in, MK Ultra. You were all involved in a pedophilia. Every fucking one of you. They even refer to this issue as a test of time. I'm okay. I'm still alive. On how I would manage to keep my memories, Prince Andrew was involved in Mount Everest of pedophilia in Britain. He preferred to do it back in Britain, in UK, internat, boarding school type of business, America. He just admitted that he's got way better back home. That's not initially though. Initially, he had Charles also yelling, screaming at him on several occasions. He did more than 2 ladies in Novo Mesto City. It was like this with Donald Trump, it was like this with everybody. These people would do business mostly abroad, back in America, back in Britain. I will not forget this individual who was here. I don't forget these people. I remember the FBI guy, and I also remember the prosecutor, whatever that guy was, who supposedly, I said supposedly, were investigating him, investigating these people, I should say. I was a child, but these people made themselves so clear about what they were in the city of the Novo Mesto in front of other adults. And in the Novo Mesto city, trust me, as a child as I was, and even as I was drugged up, I understood what it means to mention somebody in front of somebody else, especially adults. The word traveled with the speed of light through the city. I quickly understood what his uncles were in the city of the Novo Mesto for, and I was absolutely not interested in getting Prince Charles, I should say Donald Trump, prosecuted. These people, this was always the same shit, this was always the same ring. If Donald Trump cannot say that he did not know Prince Andrew in 1980, that he did not associate with him in 1981 and 1982, this is the stuff that he cannot say. This is so easy. This stuff is really easy. It's not even difficult to prove this stuff. He cannot say that the two did not know each other and stuff like this. You're portraying over there Donald Trump like, you know, Prince Andrew, like he was dating somebody who was, I don't know, yeah, Julia Gifford, 17 years of age and shit. Come on, man. We need to talk a little bit about British internat boarding schools and that kind of stuff. You know, it's not only the stuff that you could meet abroad, it's also the stuff that you could meet at home. I was the one who had the biggest influence on Prince Andrew, females wise. I would not allow these guys to express even the interest for the females from here. I really liked Anglo-American Scandinavian German females so much, they appeal to me so much, that when I considered the violence, the madness that went on here in Slovenia with what I saw over there, I wouldn't want any of these uncles to view themselves in this here, because I know that if they start to see themselves in this here, the violence is going to multiply into something totally insane. I was correct about it. Trump got married to Ivanka. Look where it all ended. And afterwards, even with Melania, he had a taste for this Eastern European woman, right? You can tell that something went wrong, terribly wrong about it all. He doesn't have clean everything inside in here. It's not everything in order. It's not everything in place. This issue with Donald Trump, this is some fine photos right there, was the issue with Donald Trump was such that he was warned by Prince Andrew to watch what he's doing. Prince Andrew claimed that he met him right at the end, just before our departure from the city to the new location, to the new house. Not exactly, not quite like that. He talking about the Prince Andrew. Shit is actually hilarious. This stuff is actually hilarious. Totally hysterical hilarious. Queen claimed what I have done to them and so on. there must have been a lot of action actually. That I screwed them up and so on. The second one who got after me was Princess Anne. They were really like you put... It was quite a hilarious shit that went on after. Obviously, they initially got them so high to the I don't even know what, but imagine these are fucking adults. You know, these are adult people. Actually Andrew was not even adult. Andrew was so damn young. I remember Andrew was like 14 years old. Like young kid, you know, and that's what they got him. That's why he got himself in trouble. You know, he was just picking up the shit, picking up the world around him, you know, getting the signals and stuff like this. He came all excited, and you know, one thing led to another, and he got himself into some juicy stuff, and it was Prince Philip that would discipline him back with occasional visits, like I said, of Prince Charles that would come. Prince Charles, that was like more like very intense, serious stuff. Then he loosened up a little bit and so on. But initially, these people made mistakes, serious mistakes in a parenthesis, and then they used, this is quite hilarious for me, they used Prince Andrew like some sort of alarm. You know, Prince Andrew would be like, they would use Prince Andrew to the shit. The kid was all paranoid. He would wear those white shirts. He would always be wearing a white shirt, and he would just he was so alert, man, like you know, like you would drink like 50 coffees. Shit. He was like you take the clock and you go and then it's, he was absolutely watching any diplomat, anybody that would come, and would quickly, you know, interfere and make sure with the Princess Anne also She posed like a detective and so on. I don't know if I was so bad. I don't think I was so bad, but this shit was quite hilarious. After what supposedly they have made mistakes now, and after they made the mistakes, everything was okay. They all became detectives and police officers and that kind of stuff. You know, they all became very, very credible. Andrew and Anne and Edward, they were all doing a police jobs. They were all doing a police jobs because Charles was busy back in UK. He was doing other more important stuff, military related stuff. He was doing irresponsible stuff, the most irresponsible stuff, and you know, they got assignment from Prince Philip to do a detective job. All through not the children, adults, considered already as adults, it appears to me that they were entertained with roles which were given to me that to them, like detective, police, that kind of stuff. Maybe it was also a joke, I don't know. Prince Philip did pose in front of me like the main detective, you know, that's what they claim me, that they are detectives and stuff like this. Maybe it was just to play with me or whatever, but I noticed them like a hawks, man. Anything that would have to do with Andrew was to be watched after, and or other diplomats that even Andrew would go after to warn. It was quite hilarious, actually. And one of those diplomats just happened so was Donald Trump, whom they groomed to save himself for the USA and UK, that kind of stuff. Trumpet does have a lot to explain about all that stuff. He have a lot to tell about his business. This hotel, this Windesher Hotel that I mentioned earlier, next to our house in the city, this shit also was earlier time. At later time, yeah, you would still get some lame people in there, that kind of stuff. The shit would still go on, but the main stuff happened in, you know, when I was like really young. They became extremely cautious when it comes to Novo Mesto, with Queen, who claimed that I screwed them up, that I did not know what the fuck I did. It would be impossible that the child like myself could do stuff like this to any adult. I mean, you know, in a way, as a child, you don't even know you exist. You know what I mean? You're just a child. You just go about your business. What you give a fuck, you do. You know, whatever comes your way, whatever. You know. All through, I did understood because of the stuff that went on about certain things. Should I be a babysitter from Prince Andrew? I mean, come on, let's be serious a little bit about that stuff. This is actually a bit hilarious when I think about all this stuff that went on in the Novo Mesto city. Back in our house and these apartments and stuff like this was different. The stuff that went on in UK and that kind of stuff, that was very different. Is the most perfect use child for the prostitution. Nothing is as effective as child. The child can make any lady wet between the legs. I am not kidding. I had Serbs, adults, officers, these KGB people, they couldn't understand what was it that I had effect on the ladies, that they were just like hypnotic effect, basically turning ladies into, you know, into whatever they wanted to do with them. They told me, this is the charm that you have, you're going to lose as an adult, you're not going to have forever, they told me. Psychiatrists, psychologists understand exactly what I'm talking about. This is all related to psychiatry. Was psychiatrists, psychologists involved in this shit since my earliest childhood. Who, this shit was, you know, it was a sting here. Russians would be present in the city of the Novo Mesto all along. That Vindisher Hotel, that stuff that I told you about, that was the place for them. This was a sting location. Sting, basically, this is where you get the high-profile diplomats doing something stupid, and you know, you record, and then you start build based on mutual, in a parenthesis, trust, which I'm going to refer to as crime, really. Your diplomacy, basically, entire diplomacy. That's what this shit was. And eventually, these mistakes that they made, talking about the British royals, it appeared that they worked out for them very well. The British royals turned those mistakes into money, into cash. No? It wasn't like this that you continued your saga of your mistakes with Russians into big-time trade, oil trade, gas trade, and so on. It was like this. And wars, yes, that kind of stuff. Yeah. All that stuff, everything that I stated, I rather stated less than more. I'm going to think about this stuff a little bit more. There's a whole lot of stuff that went on, actually, you know, so. City of the Novo Mesto was a sting, and they completely understood. You should see Prince Andrew. He was like a rabbit on steroids, like a rabbit that would drink a lot of coffee. He was directly trained by Prince Philip and so on. They all became detectives, and the chief detective was Prince Philip, in a humorous side.